My lovely dears, welcome to this new Italian tutorial. This tutorial will be about a tense that we use for the past. So a past tense that we have in Italian, and it is called imperfetto. Now, my previous video was on another past tense, which is called passato prossimo, and I will link it in the description below also. And actually I will make also another video, I think next video, on the difference between imperfetto and passato prossimo, because they are two tenses used for the past, but there is a difference. So there are some rules for when you have to use one and when you have to use the other, and so I will make another tutorial about it. So for now we will deal with the imperfetto, and let's just say for now that imperfetto is a past tense that you use for something that happened in the past but that lasted for some time, for example, or for something that was a habit, or you can use it for more actions that happen simultaneously. And so these are some cases for something which you have to use imperfecto. But this video will be mostly on how you make it, so how you form the imperfetto. The imperfetto is not difficult. There are also few irregular verbs, and actually as you will see, it follows mostly the vowels of the conjugation. What I mean, for example, is that the first conjugation, so the verbs in are, you will see that when you make the imperfetto, you will have this a that recurs for the imperfetto, the conjugation. But now, so let's go to how you actually make the imperfetto of a verb. And let's start with the first conjugation, so the verbs in are. So let's take one of those verbs of the first conjugation. So amare, for example, to love. What you do, so you remove are, you have your root am. And I actually also made recently a video on how to retrieve the root of a verb, and I will also link this one in the description below. But so anyway, you have your root am. What you add is avo for the first person. So I loved becomes io amavo. For the second person, you add avi. So you loved becomes tu amavi. The third person, for the third person, you add ava. So he or she loved becomes egli or ella amava. For the first person plural, you add avamo. So we loved becomes noi amavamo. Noi amavamo. You plural loved is made by adding avate. So you plural loved becomes voi amavate. Then the third person plural, for the third person plural, you add avano. So they loved becomes essi or esse amavano. So also, as you can see, the stress is usually on the vowel that is right after the root. So the first vowel that is after the root. So the vowel I was talking about that follows the vowel or the conjugation. So in this case on the a. And only for the two first persons plural, so for the first and for the second person plural, the stress goes a little ahead, so goes on the syllable after. So is io amavo, but then becomes noi amavamo, so it goes a little further. So so as you can see, you had this av that recurs, and so that's it for the first conjugation. For the second conjugation, you add the same, but the first vowel is not a, is the e. So e, if you want to say it in the Italian way, e. So, for example, scendere, so to go down. What happens? Allora, you have your root scende. What you add for the first person is evo. So the avo from the first conjugation becomes evo in the second conjugation. So the vowel right before the V becomes a for the second conjugation. So I went down is io scendevo. For the second person you add evi, so you went down becomes tu scendevi. He went down becomes egli o ella scendeva, because for the third person singular you add eva. For the first person plural you add evamo, so we went down becomes noi scendevamo. For the second person plural you add evate, so you plural went down becomes voi scendevate. And then for the third person plural you add evano, so they went down becomes essi or esse scendevano. So also, as you can see, the what you add is more or less the same in the second or in the first conjugation. But again, what changes is the first vowel of what you add. Now, for the third conjugation, you add the same things, but the first vowel of what you add becomes an E, the E in the Italian way. So, for example, dormire, to sleep. Now, for the first person, you add ivo. So, I slept becomes io dormivo. For the second person, what you add is ivi. So, you slept becomes tu dormivi. For the third person, you add iva. So, he or she slept becomes egli or ella dormiva. For the first person plural, what you add is ivamo. So, we slept becomes noi dormivamo. For the second person plural, you add ivate. So, you plural slept becomes voi dormivate. For the third person plural, what you add is ivano. So, they slept becomes essi or esse dormivano. That's it for the imperfetto. So that's how you make it. Important again is that you notice how the stress goes, because also this sometimes creates problem to people that try to learn Italian, so they often make mistake with the stress. It's important that you remember that usually it goes on the first vowel of what you add, but for the first and for the second person plural it goes on the syllable after that, so it goes a little towards the end. And so that you remember that for the first conjugation you add av, there is this av that that recurs. Then for the second conjugation is ev, and for the third conjugation is iv. So you have just to follow the vowel of the vowel that you find in infinitive, the vowel that you find in infinito. Also, one last important thing, I said that there are some irregular verbs in the imperfetto, and actually it's because they follow more the Latin route. So how they went in the Latin language. But what is important here is that if a verb is irregular in the imperfetto, it doesn't mean that it is irregular also in the present or in other tenses, and also vice versa. So if you learned an irregular verb in the present, this doesn't mean that it has to be irregular also in the imperfetto. For example, andare, of which I've talked about also many times, and I made a tutorial about it, and I will also link it in the description below. Anyways, andare is irregular in the present, but when you make the imperfetto, it's perfectly regular. So it becomes andavo, andavi, andava, so you actually don't change anything. It behaves like a perfectly regular verb. So there are actually just few verbs that are always irregular, like bere, to drink. So actually, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumb up, and please subscribe to my channel if you like my videos. And as always, feel free to post any comment or any question to request for any topic. Thanks for watching, and see you next tutorial. Ciao ciao!